Before we jump into today's video, we want to say a special thank you to our sponsor, Victor Verti. You are the patron of the day. Thank you so much for making this video possible. If you would like to sponsor one of our videos, head on over to patreon.com/Kinetic Kennons. Additionally, if you are looking to give a super unique Christmas gift this year, consider heading over to alwayscontodo.com. We have some oh so fresh, brand new Con Todo shirts right off the press. We have some handmade leather goods from Guanajuato. We have some straw art and watercolor paintings from here in Vallarta. And here soon we will be releasing our winter edition of our Oaxacan coasters. Woo! They're gonna look good. Now, amigos, let's head to the beach. It is another beautiful day here in Vallarta, amigos. Now we are going to address the title of this video, obviously, amigos, but the weather here in Vallarta the last week or so has been so nice. I think this is the nicest it has ever been when we have been in Vallarta. And it seems like the weather pretty much everywhere else in the United States and Canada has been pretty crappy. So first we wanted to just send some nice, warm, sunny beach vibes your way before we really jump into the meat of this. Here we go. That one got me. That one got me good. I think because it's been like rainy season, well, kind of like a month ago, rainy season, we've been traveling. I forgot like how nice the beach is.
Forgot how nice it feels to get pummeled by waves and have sand in your eyeballs.
Perfect. I would not, that's a perfect life. That's a perfect life. Are there too many Americans in Vallarta? Joke's on you, about 99.9% of all the people in Vallarta are American, right?
Yeah, boom!
More or less. Tell a Mexican otherwise, and Canadians, you're American too. Ask a Mexican.
All jokes aside, I feel like this is something that we get asked a lot across our platforms, as well as I think expats are considering this sort of topic in terms of when choosing a destination, be it Mexico or any part of the world to retire or move to expatriate.
Become an expatriate. And obviously, we're kind of trolling a little bit by saying Americans. When we say Americans, we really just mean a catch-all term for expats, whether you be from Canada, from the United States, Europe, anywhere, I suppose. So we're not just saying Americans as in people from the United States, because again, ask a Mexican. It gets complicated with that. But in all seriousness, before we kind of attempt to dive into this and give a few thoughts, we do want to say, or I rather just recognize and say to you that historically saying there's too many of X group in X country is not such a good thing. There's not a very good history of that. So let's try not to do that.
Before we give you our take on this debated matter, we're going to do something super, very dangerous, especially here in Mexico. We are going to give you guys the reins here to debate this in comments, nothing but love is allowed. And they goes, no, we really want your input. We encourage your input on, is this something you considered as a Mexican? How do you feel about people from outside of Mexico talking about this? As a foreigner, how do you feel? Is this something you've ever thought about? Considered, those of you expats who live in Mexico or abroad? What is your take on this? Anyways. Let's
try and keep it as respectful as we can, but we do value your opinion, obviously. Okay, are there too many Americans, too many gringos, too many expats in Vallarta? First off, I would say a good thing about the expat population in Vallarta, from an outside perspective, if you live here in Vallarta and you work here, let us know what you think. But because there's around 30,000 expats that come here every winter, and that live, and some more even live here full time, there are more like jobs at hotels, more tourism jobs, just more jobs in general. And I believe the jobs here in Vallarta are higher paying than you may find in other places that are not as touristy, not as expat driven. So that's a good thing.
Now, an actual downside that may counterbalance part of that is increased cost of living for people who have resided in Vallarta for decades, and grandparents and generations. There's increased rent costs, increased restaurant costs, and an overall increase in cost of living based on the increased tourism, whether that be seasonal or forever long-term expats. Another great thing about choosing a place to live where there is already an established expat community is finding a sense of resources. And the network of resources here in Vallarta specifically is huge. If you want an English-speaking book club, which I hate books and clubs, but if you're into that sort of thing, I feel like there's probably multiple English-speaking book clubs. There's a foodie club. There are movies in English. There's a huge network of resources on Facebook and in person,
or if you need to find a dentist, a doctor, or whatever.
Singles groups that have meetups, non-singles groups that have meetups. There's a ladies outdoor adventure club. So the network of resources, which provides some comforts from your home country, in
your home language.
In your home language here is quite extensive.
And obviously that is pretty beneficial for a lot of people looking to move to Mexico that may not speak Spanish, or maybe don't plan on or don't intend or for whatever reason can't fully speak Spanish. However, I think the downside of that is the positive side of that, in that if you're looking for something completely different, if you're looking to move to a place completely culturally different from where you're from, moving to a place like Vallarta or even like San Miguel has a lot of expats as well. It's not the place, it's different. Like, I mean, Vallarta's still like, I mean, right now almost everybody I see is Mexican, and we just went to the beach and almost everybody there was Mexican, and there's still so many traditional aspects of Mexico in Vallarta, and especially in San Miguel. But there's too many comforts. You can get away with speaking English too easily. There's too many English speaking things. So if you're just looking for a completely different cultural experience, maybe there are too many expats here. This topic is so interesting to us. We've been kind of debating a lot off camera.
That's what I was thinking, is like, it's actually weird because like even we aren't always entirely on the same page.
Well, I think there's so many different things to consider and think about, and different like perspectives to have, whether you live here full-time, 6 months, whether you're Mexican or maybe you're Mexican American and now you live here. I don't know, it's just it's complicated.
It's super convoluted, such as Mexico, huh?
And it's interesting, no kidding. It's interesting for us because now we have a different perspective than the first or second time that we lived in Vallarta, because we went to other places in Mexico that didn't have as high of a percentage of expats. Like, I would imagine there might actually be more expats living in Mexico City than there are Vallarta, potentially.
Like numbers wise.
But there's 20 million people, so it gets spread out. The last thing we forgot about before we're gonna go drink a margarita or two is that I think the expat community here in Vallarta does so much for the city. Just say, for example, there's like a garden club.
That has like beautified the streets. I know the tile park. I think expats have been a big part of that. I know there are trash cleanups. So I think that At least here in Vallarta, there's a tight-knit group that really cares about preserving our little pueblo of Vallarta.
Yeah, and they really love Mexico. They love the city, and they love the people. They care about the people. They treat the people very kind.
But with that, I'm gonna hit it with a negative, following that up. I think there is something that frustrates Greg and I, if we're being quite frank, quite open and raw with you guys. Something that really frustrates me is when there are people, because a lot of people here do speak English, there's this expectation that restaurant owners, shop owners speak English. So I think something that frustrates me, I won't speak for Greg, is when we're sitting in a restaurant and we've worked hard to learn Spanish, and although
a little bit, we've worked hard to learn how to order tacos.
Right. Something that frustrates me is when someone from not Mexico walks in and just starts making orders in English, whether it be food or that's a bit of a turnoff to me. And I think that because the people of Vallarta are so warm and kind and welcoming, a lot of them do speak English, but I think the expectation of that as a visitor, it hurts my heart.
It can be a little bit of turnoff. So for amigos, just embarrass yourself and try and speak Spanish.
He does it all the time.
We do it all the time.
I think it's sand in his ears right now. Let's try not to pay attention to.
Usually on camera. So I don't know, those are our thoughts. Comment below, let us know what you think. Enough serious talk.
It's time for a margarita.
Non-virgin.
It's been a long time since we've been to Devil's Bar, hasn't it? This is like OG Kinetic Kennons.
Are we OG?
What would you say the percentage of non-Americans here?
100.
100%. Canadians and Americans.
Yep.
We will have to have about 5 each to get on everybody else's level.
What?
We've heard some pretty funny things in the last 10 minutes.
Can I tell him the thing I heard?
Yes.
I love my Coors Light, but I also love tequila.
Obviously. Amigos in Vallarta, continue coming to Devil's Bar because, well, selfishly, because many of you have been coming to Devil's Bar specifically because of our videos.
Yes.
The owner gives us free drinks sometimes.
That and the free entertainment. It's like you buy a drink, it's 2-for-1 free entertainment. I think this is the best thing for your buck in terms of entertainment on the beach.
Bar none. Absolutely beautiful. Amigos, I think whether you think there's too many expats here in Vallarta, whether you're, regardless of your race, gender, religion, sexual orientation, we can all agree that is beautiful, right? The things we've heard in the last 15 minutes.
The things we've seen.
The things we have seen.
Cannot unsee.
I'm scarred. I'm scarred. There's an old guy that was to our left. He was happy. I'm scarred.
Someone else's husband said, get a camera.
You know the best part about all this?
What?
It's Monday.
It is Monday. You're right.
It's Monday. That's about the best way you could do a Monday, I
It's
think.
a lot to take in on a Monday.
The beach, some free drinks, a free show. We'll just leave it at that.
It's a pretty good, marvelous Monday.